everyone, and welcome to episode number 29 of the Journey Running Podcast, where the goal is to help you run farther, feel smarter, and develop character through trail and ultra running. I am your host, registered dietitian, coach, and ultra runner Stefan Schuster. As always, I'd like to use this moment as a reminder to folks that Journey Running is more than just a podcast. It is also my running and nutrition coaching business. So if you or anyone you know is looking for a coach or a dietitian to work with, you can reach out to me on my website, which is journeyruncoaching.com, or via email at journeyrunning_llc@gmail.com. Also, it would mean the world to me if you could take a moment to rate, subscribe, and review the show. These actions, they may seem trivial to some, but the engagement that you do provide the show goes a really long way in helping more eyes and ears get on the Journey Running Podcast, and I really appreciate it. I got a few show notes for this week. I just want to make sure that everyone knows what the Burrito League is, which is what today's episode is on. The Burrito League has wrapped up, but for those of you who are unfamiliar, I do want to make sure that it is explained so that if you're listening and you've never heard of the Burrito League or you're just not familiar with it, I want to make sure that you have all the context you need to understand what today's episode is all about. Right now is a good time to go over that. The Burrito League, it technically started as a Chipotle and Strava challenge. It went on for at least the last 2 years, because I remember when I was in Denver that there was a segment over there that Chipotle held. Last year, many ultra running fans, you guys probably remember watching Jamil Khoury, who is, yes, the Aravaipa owner. He dueled it out with Kevin Russ for a free year of Chipotle burritos. I think the two of those guys ran something like over 700 miles in the month of January to win free burritos for a year, because the challenge is essentially whoever runs the most of that Chipotle segment would win free burritos for a year. In the end, Chipotle gave both of them free burritos for a year. And because of Jamil and Kevin's efforts last year, the challenge basically blew up. It was all over social media. But sadly, I have no idea why Chipotle never renewed the challenge. I think that's poor marketing on their end. So, coming into 2026, Jamil and Aravaipa decided to make their own Burrito League to relive last year's madness. And, after reviving the Tempe, Arizona segment, other places got jealous and decided to start their own chapter. Hence how the Burrito League became not only a national phenomenon, but also an international one, because I'm pretty sure there are other segments in other countries that Aravaipa has talked about on their social media pages. I also think that it's worth noting, just for the context of today's discussion, because I'm having on Sean and Kelsey, the Boulder Burrito League champions. I just want to note that the Boulder Burrito League was hosted by Runner's Roost. So, if you're local and if you're looking for a running store, if you live in Boulder or the greater Boulder area, I do want to give our local Runner's Roost a shout out because of how much support they gave us. They are on the corner of Broadway and Table Mesa, basically by that King Soopers over there. So go check them out. Huge thanks to the Roost, specifically Trisha Veith and Charles Garabadian. I hope I'm saying your name right, Charles, your last name at least. But yeah, shout out to those two in particular. They put so much time and effort into, making this a really fun challenge. They had a lot of sponsors, specifically Scratch Labs and Ultra. They had food out, donuts, coffee every single day of the challenge, and they were just wonderful hosts. So I want to make sure that they get the credit they deserve, because today's podcast wouldn't exist if it wasn't for those folks. Also, just for some context, the Boulder segment was 0.2 miles. It ran from basically like a bus stop on Table Mesa. It ran down the block, took a right-hand turn to go past the Runner's Roost, and then finished behind the store, just to give people a good visualization of the segment that we ran for 3 weeks straight. Then, in order to return to the beginning of the segment, us runners, we basically ran through a few parking lots to return to the beginning, which made our Boulder segment into a 0.35-mile loop, even though technically the segment was just the 0.2 miles from like the bus stop around the Runner's Roost. And also for reference, our guest today Kelsey ran 1,456 segments, and Sean ran 1,292. So they ran a lot of segments. I do want to give a shout out to our other competitors, our top 10, shout-outs to Stefana Cornisher, Cole Satterwhite, Eric Silverman, Hope Ludwinski, Brendan Martise, Grace Reyes, and Leslie Wares, who also placed in the top 10. I know and as well as Kelsey and Sean, we all spent a lot of time running with everyone else, and it was just a wonderful community out there, so I wanted to make sure everyone got a little shout-out. Also want to thank Scratch specifically so there were some daily challenges that happened along the way. They had a competition on Saturday, January 24th, where if you ran a segment, you got one raffle ticket to win a variety of race entries. That was the Boulder, the Portland Marathon, and the Leadville 100. So I'm sure anyone who's listening to this, you can guess which lottery I decided to enter. And I ran 30 miles, which was per Strava, 88 segments, and I actually ended up winning the Leadville 100 entries, so I'm super stoked about that. And I want to give a special thank you to Scratch Labs here in Boulder for their support and for the Leadville entry. I can't wait to run it again 2 years in a row. I just put out an episode where I said I didn't get in, and I was disappointed, but yeah, now I'm back in it. Let's go. So for those of you who have been listening to the Journey Running podcast weekly, you will know that my goal for 2026 is to run a Rocky Mountain Slam, and this Leadville entry really secured it. So got super lucky. Very excited to run Leadville again. Now my summer schedule is the Scout Mountain 100 in June, Crazy Mountain 100 in July, Leadville in August, and assuming I finish those first three Rocky Mountain Slam events, the Bear 100 will let me in so that I can finish up the Slam. So basically just got to earn my way into the Bear. But yeah, that Leadville entry was almost equivalent to like 2 entries for me because yeah, I needed to sign up for 3 Rocky Mountain Slam races so that I could earn my way into the Bear to finish the series. So super cool. All right, I'm tired of talking about myself, and yeah, I just wanted to make sure everyone had a lot of context for everything that happened at the Burrito League and understands what it is and everything. But let's move on to Sean and Kelsey. Super excited for this episode. It was awesome to have them on. They were the winners of this year's Boulder Burrito League. Yeah, it was just awesome to have the pleasure to share so many miles with them on the segment for the last few weeks. In this episode, we talk about Kelsey and Sean's journey to the Burrito League, how they ran their first 100-miler on the last day of the challenge, which was just insane. The gratitude and joy that we all experienced on this seemingly dumb challenge, the importance of community, and much more. So without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's welcome Sean and Kelsey to the show. All right, so I am here with the Boulder Burrito League champions, Kelsey Lakowske and Sean Hollister. My understanding is that both of you, although you have different last names, you are in fact married, which I do think is kind of a cheat code, considering you guys dragged each other to the Burrito League every day. But before we get into all that, I want to hand the mic off to you guys to make sure you guys have the opportunity to introduce yourselves. Maybe you guys can tell the audience any fun facts about yourselves, where you're from, what was your journey to becoming ultra runners, whatever you guys want to start with and share.
Want to go ahead?
You go first.
Yeah, what's up? My name's Sean. I'm from California, from the Central Coast. I followed this girl out here in like 2019, and wasn't even really a runner at that point. I was a collegiate tennis player, but you know, when in Boulder, you start running a lot, I guess. So, yeah, she brought me out here. We stayed. We got married last year. We have 2 cats. This is one right here. Her name's June. She's a good girl. And yeah, maybe it is a bit of an advantage to be married and be in the Burrito League. So you know, you have a constant pacer. So I don't know if paces are allowed, but we definitely use them.
I saw you guys on day one, and I thought to myself, man, if they are out here as a couple every day, they're going to be hard to beat, just because you got somebody dragging you out the door all the time.
Yeah, like for better or for worse, you know, sometimes I'd be really grateful for it. Sometimes I'd be like, man, can we just leave? Like, but she had a harder. We'll talk about this later, but the women's leaderboard was actually more competitive, so she had a harder standard to follow than me.
At the end.
Yeah, especially at the end.
Yeah.
You want to talk about yourself?
Yeah. I grew up in Boulder, so I've been here a while. I bopped around. I left for college. Met this boy in California, and then dragged him out here. So, yeah, and of course in Boulder you have to pick up like 5 sports minimum, something like that. Like gotta do hiking, backpacking, skiing, boarding,
Cycling, fly fishing,
fly fishing, climbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and running, or trail running. I don't know if that counts as the different disciplines, but yeah. I was a runner, started in high school, so I've had a few more years under my belt. But I kind of took a break after competing in high school and college, kind of got burnt out on it. And Sean kind of found his own spark and dragged me back into it. So I don't know, chicken and the egg.
Yeah, I would like sign up for a race and then Kelsey would join and be like, "Oh yeah, I'm just gonna come," and then she'd win the whole thing. So I'm just trying to keep up with her still, you know.
That's funny. So much for being a retired college athlete. You guys have some pretty different backgrounds, though, in terms of how you got into the sport. Talked to both of you guys a lot on our burrito laps. And Kelsey, I know you said that your mom, I think it was an ultra runner. And is that really like what ended up helping you transition from like college running to the trails, or was it more like along the lines of what Sean just said, where you were like following him to races and you're like, oh, I'm actually going to do this now?
It's credit. Yeah, I can actually trace it back to a single moment where, well, first of all, she was training for a marathon when she had me. So I don't know, like epigenetics, something, yeah. Um, and when I was in California, before I met Sean, she qualified for the Boston Marathon and wanted to have a mother-daughter experience at this race. I had never run a marathon before, but she was like, I think you can, because I was in Davis doing research and running for long periods of time just for fun. So she's like, I think you can do it. Here's a race in San Luis Obispo. Uh, you need to run this as a qualifier for Boston. Um, and if you qualified and we can run together, I think you could do it. So that was my first marathon, San Luis Obispo marathon. I ran at 2:59, and that
Like
qual
couch to sub 3.
Yeah, that's
that
incredible.
yeah, that was my first like, okay, let's actually do this. Um, I had no sense of pace at this point. I remember doing the race in the first few miles. I looked at my watch and it told me I was running 8:30 pace, and I was like, this is so hard. I'm not gonna make it. And it turns out I didn't turn on my GPS. So I was running like 6:30 pace. Um, so that's why it felt hard. Yeah, so then I ended up doing Boston with my mom, and we did it the year at Monsoon, which was very memorable. I remember buying trash bags to wrap around our feet, and all of the like thrift stores were being pilfered because nobody had
Expected the rain.
expected rain. It was very memorable. So that's all to say. My mom is definitely responsible for the. I would give her credit for the transition, but later, Sean gets credit for the.
I will say, like, one thing, about maybe, I don't know if like all married couples are like this, but I'm sometimes better about talking about Kelsey than she is.
Hmm.
And she, like, kind of classically undersells all of her achievements. Like, one thing she didn't mention was that she's an All-American. She was an All-American runner at Duke. So, yeah, she was really good and still is really good.
Yeah, I still don't know how to receive compliments. So
Yeah.
The overall Burrito League champion of Boulder is Kelsey, for anyone
Yeah,
who's listening.
overall.
Yeah,
Overall.
just demolished the men's field by a few hundred laps.
Yeah, here for the women's race.
Yeah, exactly. Sean, though, you said your mom also is a marathon runner. So what was your journey to getting into the sport?
Yeah, so my mom, like, I didn't even really know this until later, but yeah, when she was like out of college, maybe in college, she ran some marathons, and I think she like did well in them and like some halves and stuff. And when I was a kid, it would be like I would wake up at like 7 a.m. and my mom would have already finished like a 5 mile run. So I like never really saw her run because she did it really early in the morning. She's just that type of person, but has kind of always had running like in her life, like on her
Mhm.
birthday every year, which is on Christmas. When we're back home and on the coast, we'll like run to the pier with her like really early. And she loves doing that, even though her knees are like completely shot, so it's like super painful for her. But yeah, that was kind of so she had a background in running. My dad was like kind of a shorter distance runner, as far as I know. I don't think I'd ever ran more than like 2 or 3 miles until after college. Like I was a collegiate tennis player, and we did a little bit of running as part of our workouts. We'd run like a half mile to warm up and stuff. But I think I bought my first pair of running shoes like maybe like senior year of college or something, and then started running a little bit after, and then I met Kelsey like a year or so after college, and I remember, yeah, like we hit all the milestones. It was like, oh, that was my first 5 mile run. And then like I remember sometime during COVID, I did like my first 10 mile run and like couldn't walk afterwards. It was so bad.
He was working at Tennis Warehouse, and I was working at Running Warehouse.
Oh, this is our origin story. Yeah. Yeah. We met.
And you guys met through, it was family members, right?
We met at a tennis tournament actually, which is funny. It's through her family. I've known her family for a really long time. That's a long, complicated
That's a
story.
longer story.
But I know her family through tennis. Her brother was a tennis player and played on my high school team. And she was off to college at that point. So yeah,
Nice.
we didn't meet until years later. I'd heard about her though.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, that's funny. My mom sent me an article on Facebook a few months ago that said like you take after your mother when it comes to like athletic abilities, and she posted that publicly, and I thought to myself, Mom, I've never seen you go for a run my entire life. And I commented that, and she was like, "Why did you embarrass me?"
Because you lied.
Because this doesn't make any sense. My dad has run a few marathons and his first 50K last year, but he didn't start doing that until I was already running. So I don't know. I mean, I guess I got lucky with the genetics, but I don't know if they can really claim credit there.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mom. Your guys' moms for the win though.
Yeah.
You guys both, before Burrito League, I think what's fascinating is your guys' longest run ever was the San Juan Solstice 50-miler, and you guys then proceeded to run 100 miles plus the last day for both of you, which was you doubled your longest run. I mean, first of all, let's talk a little bit about San Juan Solstice because that's a super cool race. And then I want to kind of like transition the conversation into like, how do you go from that to the Burrito League? But
you do it. Yeah, you do this beautiful mountainous 50-miler, and then you end up running concrete laps for 3 weeks straight.
It's
Before we say anything, I should throw in a plug for San Juan Solstice. That race is incredible. You should run it. It supports the city. It's a really cool like community event and just a beautiful place, and it's freaking hard, honestly. Like we probably overtrained actually in hindsight, and
in some ways.
got sick like going into the race. You know this a little bit because we talked about this while we were running, but had pretty tough days out there, but finished, which we were both really proud of.
Maybe had pneumonia.
Yeah, maybe got pneumonia from it or something, but
It's a little baby hard rock.
I think that was the first race where it's like people call it like a half hard rock or something. But that was the first time where I was like suffering for like a really long period of time. Like I'm used to suffering at the end of races a little bit, but that race was like I started cramping at like mile 20, and then it was like, man, I got like pretty much a 50K to go,
Which was your prior for this distance.
Yeah.
So he's like, I feel miserable, and now I have to run as far as I've ever run.
Yeah, like up, like
That's
on
brutal.
the Continental Divide.
Yeah, at altitude on like pretty technical terrain. Like there are parts like wobbly moss rocks up on the divide. Not California carpet.
But that kind of, I think, like, from that, I realized that you can actually suffer for a really long period of time. Like, you can feel pretty bad and keep going for a while, surprisingly. And, we can talk about that a little bit more when we talk about the final day of Burrito League. But yeah, we suffered for a long time out there. And somehow it just kept going. So.
Yeah, I think it's really impressive that you guys had pneumonia and proceeded to finish one of the harder 50-milers in the country. That's really impressive.
I don't recommend it. I don't know that I've ever before regretted how hard I pushed. I think that was regret. Yeah, I think every ultra runner has a little bit of that stubbornness. Like you have to just decide at some point that you're not gonna keep evaluating yes or no. Like you just decide to go, and you don't ask, should I keep going?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess the question is, should I stop? And it has to be something significant to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like if you ask yourself that question too often, like you probably will want to stop.
Yeah. Maybe this is an unpopular opinion, but I think that a mature thing to do is to go into a race knowing what you're willing to quit for. You need to have parameters so that you can be safe mentally and physically, really, when you're running an event. Some people's parameters are like, if I'm not having fun, I'm going to quit. And who am I to tell them that that's a bad idea? But other people's parameters are, I'm not going to quit unless I get severely injured or I'm in danger of like dying because of, either a bad injury or like a storm that comes in onto the race course. And everyone has the ability to set that goal for themselves. And I know no one wants to think about quitting, but I think that's like a super important topic for people to think about at home before they're running any event, really.
Yeah, and also like also how it impacts other people, right? Like if you're gonna be stranded out on a part of the course where like it's gonna be hard for people to get to you and like you're gonna have to use a lot of resources, like, that's a little bit irresponsible probably.
Right.
Damn,
Can you push
I was going
yourself?
to say that's called empathy, like thinking about
Yeah,
like, how is this
totally.
going to
Yeah.
affect other people?
Well, yeah, like I'll push myself to the point at which I can responsibly take care of the consequences. But
Mhm.
if you'll reach a point where you alone cannot take care of the consequences, maybe that's the line. And that might change depending on the race or your abilities.
I think stubbornness, like going back to that, like during this race too, I will say that because we had already like paid to be in the race and Kelsey's mom had driven out from Arizona
To crew
to crew us and like stay with us. And it was both of our first
Yeah.
50s. I felt like we just like needed to try, And so I don't know if I was in that
It was my
situation.
money, and
Yeah.
I was like, I have to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that would have been. I don't think I've thought as critically about my line because I've never regretted the line that I drew.
Mhm.
But I think after that race, I've had to think more about like what's my line
Yeah.
Well,
because
what is your line now, and what was it like that changed then?
well, running with uh, all objective symptoms are basically pneumonia. I
Mhm.
didn't get a diagnosis. I'm not a doctor, so I can't confirm it. But what came out of my lungs after the race, including blood, was not uh, healthy, and I continued to suffer for months afterwards. I couldn't breathe, chest pain. Recently had to go get a chest X-ray and kind of really make sure that nothing was dangerously wrong. So that was scary, and I felt it on the divide. You're at altitude. I would lean over, and it felt like my lungs were halfway full of fluid.
Mhm.
That probably would have been a time to be like, no, we should stop. Um, but I didn't know, right? That was
Mhm.
a lesson. So
Yeah. Oh man, that's intense. I'm trying to remember what that's what's that called? Pulmonary edema, possibly.
Ooh,
That
so bad.
something not good and
something
something I
not
wouldn't
good. Yeah.
recommend. Yeah, yeah. I just don't think I'd like. Maybe this is a knock on my mental toughness. My mental toughness had never taken me far enough to truly injure myself before. So this was a lesson. Like that's okay. Now we can actually get into dangerous territory with how far we can push. So let's be careful. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's a big takeaway.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, one of the things that goes back to like this sport is so much more than just running and being outside. It's about like learning what are my limits? What am I willing to do in the mountains during a race? I remember first moving to Colorado and I was like, I'm going to do all the 14ers. And then I grew up and I was like, no, I'm not. I guess I could if I like really try to, but I don't like doing class fours or class five.
Yeah.
So like you just learn what are my limits and what are you actually willing to do. Knowledge of self is a powerful thing you get from the more miles you log, I think.
And like, what was the point of that goal, right? Like, did you want to do all the 14ers because like you just wanted to like tick them off a list, or like did you want to do all the 14ers because you wanted to have like some cool experiences in the mountains, And it's like if
Yeah,
it's the latter, like you can do that without doing all the 14ers.
that's so true. Yeah, I think when I was like 22, it was like, oh, there's all these mountains. I didn't really think about the consequences of like trying to go for them all. It was just like, well, if I do one of them, why not do all of them? That's such a that's such an ultra running mindset, I guess, all or nothing.
Yeah, for sure.
Uh, so how did you guys first hear of the Burrito League, and what drew you to it initially?
That's a good question. It must have been Runner's Roost.
Well, I followed last year.
Well, okay, yeah, actually, for context,
Tell us.
Sean's the reason. Sean's the reason because this is maybe how Sean got the bug. Really,
I'd run an ultra before.
He knew the lore. He followed the whole thing with Jamil and Chipotle, and I remember him like showing me the live stream. Like, do you see what's happening? Like, this is so crazy. I'm like,
You're like it's a dude walking on a street.
why is he walking? He's not sleeping. Does he have a family? Why? Does he have a job? What's happening? Why? And that was, yeah, so that was the beginning, which obviously is how, I should say, for those that don't know, that's how Burrito League was born, because there was a Strava challenge last year. Strava and Chipotle partnered to create this challenge, running the most number of segments in front of a Chipotle, and that didn't get renewed this year. So Jamil, who won last year, took it upon himself to make it happen again, but as more of a grassroots franchise thing. So I don't actually know the logistics, except I presume all these local community builders. I assume anybody really could have done it if they were willing to and had the time. So also shout out to Charles and Matt who did it for Boulder because they
And Trisha,
Veith, the running store manager, because they didn't get paid. Right, there was no they donated, volunteered so many of their hours and time, connecting us with partnerships so that there was a reward, there was a prize package, there were activities throughout the week. So there are individual burrito leagues hosted by local community builders, and I saw the post for Runner's Roost.
Yeah, I mean, all you need to get started is a segment and a prize. That's pretty simple. We were lucky in that we got a lot more out of it. There were prizes 3 deep for men and women, a bunch of like marketing activations going on the whole time, bunch of free food, like having ultra and scratch really, sweeten the pot.
The doors were open every day. Runner's Roost welcomed us.
Coffee.
A smelly, dirty, job jumping, neglecting runners just any time of day to come in and have a cup of coffee and put our smelly feet up in their store. Yeah, they were.
I actually remember hearing about it. To get back to the question, we went to Runner's Roost in Boulder, does these Wednesday night like fun runs, group runs, and I know you go to them sometimes too.
Yeah, shout out to the Roost.
Yeah, and we went to one, and they were like, just so you know, like we're doing Burrito League this year, starting on Saturday. And I looked over at Kelsey and was like, we have to go. Like, I want to, heck yeah, let's do it.
But yeah. It's funny thinking back on that day because I remember thinking that Saturday, we're like, okay, well, we'll come out on weekends and do it. That's it, right? Because I don't have time to drive out to South Boulder every day.
But like, what's reasonable, 20 miles on Saturday, 20 miles on Sunday.
We almost didn't come on Sunday.
Yeah, maybe we'll come on, Wednesdays for the run club and.
Right. Yeah. Very modest expectations.
If you look at our Strava histories, obviously that did not happen.
It escalated very quickly. But not all crazy frog reasons. Some of the reasons were actually very wholesome. So, we this year we didn't really set resolutions, but we set some goals around building community because for how much running we do, we don't spend nearly enough time running with the people in our community, and we wanted to change that. And sometimes it is hard, even though there's so many people at those club runs, it can feel a little inaccessible. People have their little groups, right? And it can be harder to break into conversation. And somehow something about running the same stupid 0.2 mile loop was really, it made it approachable. You're like, you'll fall into stride with somebody. Maybe you're walking a lap and you fall into stride with somebody. And then you decide to jog a little bit, you fall in stride with somebody else. Take a break, come back, somebody new. There were no strings attached. Like at any time you could bail on the conversation if you didn't want to continue. But there was always an opener, which is like, what are you doing here? Why are you also doing this?
I would actually say the number one reason people, and maybe we're jumping the gun here on questions a little
Yeah,
bit.
sorry.
So,
It's all good.
but I think the number one reason people do Burrito League is because they want to, hang out with other people and talk to other people. Because almost any time of day when we went out there was at least one other person. So that's
Yeah. It was wild. You could show up there basically any time, like early morning, middle of the day, like nighttime. There was always somebody out there logging a segment.
Yeah, totally.
It was
And you
pretty
started
crazy.
to know. You knew the crowd. Like,
Yeah.
you had the regulars. Yeah.
At what point because it sounds like your guys' mindset was, we're just going to show up to day one. We're trying to be more social. We're trying to meet more people. Like, at what point were you guys like, no, we're in this. We're going to be here like every day. We're just going to send it. And, obviously that ended up with you guys running 100 miles on your last day. But like, at what point was it like, there's no returning back to, I don't know, not being like there for the competition?
Well, to start, I think
Forever Cap Chowder.
Chowder. He's been eyeing these laps, and he wanted to come up here, so for him.
What's up, Kat?
Chowder actually made an appearance on the last day.
Oh, yeah.
Chowder's blow up foam head was in the front seat of our car.
We had a
I know you
wedding.
were see, but there was Chowder's faces in some of the photos. So. He was there with us.
So I would say like, yeah, we showed up, and if I'm being honest, we live in Boulder. It kind of has a reputation. I thought it was going to be even more competitive. Like, I thought someone was going to show up on day one and drop like 50 miles and then show
Somebody
up on
did though.
Well,
day two.
yeah.
He showed up on day 2 and dropped 45. But I thought that it was going to be so competitive. The point being, I thought it was going to be so competitive that we weren't really going to have a chance.
Instantly on the table. Yeah.
Yeah, because, there's a lot of really talented runners.
But that's what's so interesting about Burrito League, because it's not a fitness competition.
It's true. Yeah,
Holy,
it's
not
Holy.
holy. Yeah.
There are so many ways to play the game. There's a matrix of advantages and factors, including accessibility, how much time do you have, how close are you. Some people were like across the street, so they could walk over at any time, walk a few laps, go home, right? Super accessible. That's great. That makes it much easier. Or maybe they have a flexible job, or maybe they're unemployed, as is the joke with Burrito League.
Yeah.
But it does help if you don't have to go to a job, Monday through Friday. That's an advantage. Through hikers have an advantage. Can you just be on your feet? Because running miles, and again we're skipping ahead, but about halfway through the competition, I was like pure running, and then halfway through the competition, I realized like I don't think I can run enough and be confidently healthy. Like knowing my body and knowing how pounding concrete is, and I am prone to injury. I cannot run as many miles as I think I need to stay in the game without walking. So having durability, being willing to just walk for a long period of time, or speed walk, that was a skill. So time on feet, durability, and then obviously fitness. Like Cole was a great example of a pure athlete. He didn't want to walk. When he ran, he was terrifying. So, but he didn't do the walking, right? So he's not going to come out and spend 10 hours in the course until the last day. But, yeah. So different strategies. There were different ways to go about it.
Yeah, it's really funny how, you guys mentioned Rob, who showed up on day 2, dropped 45 miles, and then the next day dropped another 10. And when I saw that, I was like, oh shit, this guy's here to win it. And
yeah,
I was...
Yeah.
He's not even hurting.
Yeah, he just showed up. He seemed totally fine. He was just having a blast. It's funny though. My mindset was the opposite. I did not really go there as much to socialize as I was like, oh, I'm going to show up on the first weekend and my goal is to win burritos. And the longer the competition went on, my mindset was the opposite. I feel like of your guys's. I was just like, oh, I'm just enjoying these vibes and meeting all these people and talking the whole time. So I feel like my competitive spirit just died as I got to know everyone. I was like, oh man, I'd be so happy for you guys if you win, for everyone if they won. And yeah, meanwhile you guys seem to be on the opposite mental trajectory.
I kind of held both at the same time. I feel like with the competitiveness, because I was like, I really liked all the people I was running with, and I was like, I'd be happy, By the end of it, I saw what everybody was putting in, and I was like, they'll deserve it, whatever. Like, I'm gonna do my best, but if I don't win, like, that's okay.
Yeah.
And, like, I'll be happy. Like, actually, I would say like nothing made me happier in this competition. I don't know, than you getting the lead and pulling the Leadville ticket. Like, that was so sick.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, because we knew it was going to be hard for you to be on the podium when you had to miss the last day, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, you were still just coming out, like, hanging out with everybody. Like, that's the spirit of it, is like coming out anyway and like hanging out and having a good time. And then it feels like you got rewarded. You also did the most miles on the day where they were, putting in for the lottery. So
yeah,
I feel like it was justice.
True. It was for anyone who's listening who doesn't know, they had like a competition where it was like one segment equals one raffle ticket, and I ran like 30 miles that day. I think second place ran. There were 2 or 3 people who did run, like you ran 23 miles that day or something like that, and then I think there were like 1 or 2 other people who ran a marathon. But yeah, that was really cool. I was at my friend's wedding. I'll say his name, Brian Steiner. He was episode, I can't remember, of the Journey Running podcast, so anyone could go and listen to that. He's a 2-time lead man, and Brian and I met on Facebook because he needed a pacer for Leadville. So it was really funny that I was at his wedding, and his whole family is like Leadville fanatics, and I was like, I got in like while I was
on that day,
cool.
you got in. That's so cool.
So that was pretty sick. But it was funny because I was watching, like, Charles did like the live stream, and when they pulled my name, at first people were like, damn, and I was like, oh no, and then they were like, yeah, and they went from like, oh no to oh yeah, and I was like, oh, that's funny.
Honestly, this shows where my mindset was. Like, I don't even know if I was in the room when they pulled it. Like, I don't even remember. I was so out of it.
Well, you were busy running 100 miles that day.
It was 9 p.m. That was what? I guess 9.
Yeah, I didn't stop in for any of them. I was like, they'll let me know.
That was 21. That was 21 hours into my run, so I was like
gosh.
barely holding it together.
Okay, this is a good transition. I want to hear about your guys' last day, because obviously I was out of town in Oklahoma City, but you guys decided to send it, and I think it's funny in retrospect. On Friday before I left and the competition ended on Saturday night, you guys were asking me questions about like caffeine, and I thought you were just like asking me for like the hell of it, but I didn't realize you guys were planning to stay up all night and drop all those miles to finish up the competition.
On that note, we owe you, because I was a little uncertain, like, is this possible? And you basically confirmed, like, oh no, that's fine. Like, you can skip a night of sleep. That's not a big deal. Multiple nights, that's hard. Now, it turns out one night was obliterated me. So I do regret my choice. For context, Sean ran more miles than me in less time because he took...
Well, we should say that we started at different times.
We started at different times because I decided we both ran 20 miles Friday morning.
Uh-huh.
Came back, went to work, finished work. I decided to go to the course. I packed my bag, went to the course at 6:30 p.m., and then started running and didn't stop. Sean didn't come. He took a nap at 6:30. So he slept probably a couple hours, let's say.
Yeah, like 2 hours.
A couple hours, and then around 11:30 he came to join me at midnight. Now, this was a smarter strategy. I thought that I could just use all that time. I did not use all that time. A lot of that was junk time. It was very cold. It snowed on us. I thought he would arrive and I could take a nap. And it was so cold that I had to keep walking. I couldn't stop and rest. So I just had a bunch of really cold, inefficient walking miles for like 5 hours of the night because I was too tired at that point. I'd been running since 6:30. Sean started, he was running at that point because he just started. I needed a break, but I couldn't break. So I was just junk walking for a lot of cold, lonely miles. So again, in retrospect, didn't quite work out for me. But
it also did work out for you.
But it did.
You won.
Sure. And when I decided to do it, I decided it was an experiment. So even if I blew up, like let's say I started running and I just literally couldn't keep going and I lost. And that's the worst case scenario, right? Is like, I just have to stop. I didn't pay money. It's not a race, right? Like, what do I have to lose except prizes that I was never owed anyway? So it felt like a really great opportunity for me to experiment with a number of things that I'd never tried before, such as sleep deprivation, running at night, running for a long period of time, a bunch of things.
We were also operating under some assumptions. Like we assumed that Kelsey's competition would likely be going overnight. She ended up not doing that. But like
Mhm.
I showed up right before midnight, right? And then one of my competitors, one of the guys in the top three, Eric, shout out to Eric,
Shout out.
showed up on his bike, like always, at, I don't know what it was, 12:30 or something, 12:20.
Across the way.
Yeah.
Like 12:30. You mean 12:30 in the morning?
Yeah. Yeah, AM.
Right.
And so Eric showed up, and so I was like, oh, like Eric's here. I wonder, I don't know when Cole's gonna get here. And Eric and I were both trying to catch Cole. Like Cole was leading going into that last day by leading me by like 6 miles or something.
Yeah.
And so yeah, I showed up and we ran through the night. It snowed on us a little bit. It was pretty cold. I was feeling pretty good, honestly. Kicking some breaks. I mean, as good as you can. Like for context, I had never run 100-mile week in my life going into this event. In the lead up to that, what Saturday morning, whatever you want to call it, that midnight start, I had
Mhm.
already done 100 miles that week, and I did 100 miles a week before.
All of
You
this
guys are.
all of this was leading up. We had our longest run day after we had had increasingly
Our biggest
our
weeks.
biggest week. So every week
Yeah.
in Burrito League was a new record for highest mileage week ever, and then ended in highest mileage day ever. So it wasn't exactly the best tapering.
Yeah, it was like the opposite of going in fresh,
You guys
Uh,
are a coach's nightmare.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Coach to disappoint.
yeah, we loosely
Yeah.
coach each other. Loose being the
Yeah, I am happy you guys brought up the competition because the competition on the men's and the women's side was a bit different. So I'd like to address both actually. So Kelsey, on your side, we mentioned already you were the outright champion of the Boulder Burrito League, and your competition was a girl named Stefana who was in. You guys were like basically tied, I think, going into like that last day, and
lead on you.
or
She had 16 miles on me
ooh,
as
okay,
of Friday
Night.
night.
6:30. Yeah.
So when I started running, she had 16 miles on me.
so what was your strategy going in? You're just like, I'm just gonna run the entire last 30 hours.
No, I knew that and I learned from my competitors. So both Steph and Hope did a lot more walking, and I was impressed. I tried to learn from my competition because the walking really broke up the pounding of pavement running miles also made it much harder for us to recover. So
Mhm.
like Steph she was doing back to back 30 plus mile days on the weekdays,
Mhm.
right? But she would come back 6 a.m. the next day and start logging again.
Yeah.
And I was like, how? Well, part of it is because she's a badass. So credit where credit is due. But also walking versus running is much easier to recover from. So when we went and did like a 20-mile morning effort and then tried to run again in the evening, if we didn't get back and rest, we weren't going to really recover.
Mhm.
So I was trying to give myself time because I didn't think I was going to be running enough to catch up. So I had that deficit already, so I wanted to have time to be able
Mhm.
to run and walk at a pace that was sustainable so that I wouldn't have to not finish.
And this is the last day essentially. So
That's when I was
if
like,
you want to win, you kind of you got to throw a Hail Mary. Whatever
Yeah.
you got, you gotta do it.
Yeah, and then
I
like that last week, Stefana kept doing like 20 or 30 miles a day, and you were like, "Well, I
30,
have to
yeah.
keep up." Meanwhile, on like
Yeah.
the men's side, everyone was a little bit more chill, but there was also like three of you, so it's like, you
Yeah.
could get first or third, and that's a big difference, especially in those prizes that they gave out.
Yeah, we only ramped up to like 20, maybe a little bit more per day the last week.
That sounds nice.
Yeah.
Only,
Not 30.
yeah,
Thank
still.
Kelsey.
My gosh. Yeah, what was Sean, what was your strategy going into the last day knowing that you guys were like neck and neck?
Well, I was trying not to underestimate what a 24-hour push would look like.
Mhm.
Doing 20 miles in the morning and then coming back, I was like, dude, I feel pretty tired. Like, got a lot of miles on my legs. I've been fighting off a few injuries, trying to get healthy for that last day. That was like my big goal, was to be able to really throw down on the last day. And so, yeah, I got a couple of hours of sleep, and my goal was to honestly show up, do 24 hours, put down whatever effort I could, and hope that it was good enough. Just try really hard. I didn't like I didn't walk very much for most of that day. I wasn't running fast, like don't get me wrong, but I was trying to walk as little as possible and try to maintain something that was going to feel sustainable for the whole day.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, and then so Eric showed up a little bit after me, which was actually pretty nice because he didn't know when I had shown up. And so when he asked me when I came, even though it was only like 30 minutes before him, I was like, I've been here for a bit." And so I had a little bit of a psychological advantage. And then I kept waiting for Cole to show up. Cole didn't show up until, I don't know, maybe 8:30 or something in the morning. So he got
Oh
a good
man.
sleep. He had a different strategy. I think his strategy was to actually like rest up and then come back
And
and
then
and,
run.
and like really throw down and run.
Yeah.
And like, Cole's such a good runner that I think he wanted to run the whole day. And by the time he had shown up, so I had a 6 mile deficit on him going in to that last day. When he showed up, I had already run like 42 miles. So I had like a 36-mile lead. And of course, at that point, I'm like, I got it. He's not going to catch up, 36 miles on me in one day until you start seeing him run.
And he just keeps going. I
And,
think
and he's got all these amazing pacers with him. And he's just running, like a purebred athlete.
He had
I'm
Pacers?
like, what was that?
He had Pacers?
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Oh my
friends.
gosh.
Yeah, like friends. Yeah,
Yeah.
His chunk group, but they were
Okay.
Yeah.
good. They were good pacers. They were
All good runners.
yeah, an effective rotation. I think you knew if it was just like, let's say you only had 5 hours and you were even neck and neck with Cole, like he was gonna win because he
Mhm.
was just gonna
Yeah.
grind harder, pure running.
Yeah.
But that's why it's a it's not just a fitness contest.
Not just fitness contest. But
Yeah.
yeah, so anyway, so that was my strategy. I felt like I took pretty good care of myself. It's kind of been a theme in my last couple like races or like long efforts where I take good care of myself for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6 hours, and then I start to struggle with like nutrition and energy and cramping and stuff. So I think there's still some nutritional stuff for me to figure out. Um,
What were your guys' nutrition strategies going into that last push?
it's so much food in the car. Pretzel bite.
Actually,
Candy.
the soft Hawaiian pretzel bites.
So
Oh,
good.
that
So good.
could have used like 10 more of those.
Yeah.
Pounded Uncrustables, that was the best thing that was like a last minute emergency buy. Uncrustables, because like sugar and candy is the common go-to, and we had a bunch of that, but honestly, sugar just starts to feel really kind of acidic. I feel like it doesn't sit well. It kind of makes me nauseous. Goos and gels. I I end up having to drink a lot more water than I want to. I ended up with edema in my feet, so I think a number of things. Maybe it was just being on my feet for like 30 hours on pavement. Yeah, probably part of that. But I also think some of my balancing electrolytes to water to nutrition were not quite dialed.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was interesting because like the effort level was so low. Like, I was basically in zone one like the entire day.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know. For me, actually, this time I didn't pack enough gels. I didn't think I would want gels, so I probably only packed like 6 or 7. And I used them all up by like basically the time the sun came up in the morning. And I was super regretting not. I was like, oh, maybe we'll have more or something. But no, I think that I should have stuck with that.
It's a good
You
thing
know,
the segment ran around the roost.
yeah, I could have bought
'Cause-
more, honestly. But yeah,
I think, yeah, it was. You didn't think you needed gels because it's not like you were high performing. I often feel like that's for when you're trying to squeeze like that 5 to 10% extra out of
you're
yourself.
burning the engine hot. Yeah,
Yeah, and we
Mhm.
talked about this, right? That's when you
Yeah.
want like that full glucose fructose ratio optimization. You want to be firing off all the channels, absorbing everything all at once. But it's not like energy utilization wasn't the bottleneck. I mean, you were
Mhm.
you were burning a lot. I think it was easy to forget maybe because time would just fly by and it wasn't like I was burning the furnace hot, but it was just going. And I did a lot of like pastries because at that level effort, I find that it's digestible, and it doesn't make me feel sick. I wish I had more pastries. Eric, and Jen hooked me up with a croissant towards the end, which might have saved my life. So, it's
Yeah.
really wonderful. It's like one of the best things I'd had in 10 hours.
I
So,
think one of the things that was hard for me too was like I could just like feel my immune system shutting down throughout the day. And like you could probably hear it like in my voice right now, like I have a cold and
Mhm.
like by the end of the night, like my throat was just feeling so bad and scratchy that like it just didn't sound good to eat anything anymore. So
Yeah, 100 milers are really tough on the central nervous system. So a lot of people get sick afterwards. And because your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, is so high, especially like it was your guys' first 100. I'm wondering, like, have you guys felt like a lack of motivation? Because one thing I notice when I'm done with my first, or when I finish like a long ultra, I notice that my screen time on my phone is so high in like the few days that follow because just mentally I find focusing on anything remotely difficult to be uh to just be it's just hard to focus on anything that's like, I don't know.
yeah,
Doom scrolling is just becomes really appealing when you don't want to think about anything intensely.
completely agree with,
you
with all
see,
of that.
to Cole yesterday night. So yesterday night, the award ceremony for the Burrito League happened at the Roost, and um, I said to Cole, I was like, "So have you been feeling a poverty of neurochemicals?" And he was like, "What the hell did you say? Are you not feeling things?"
You know what's weird now is like I felt really bad and flat for like 2 days. And then maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was the day before, I started feeling really good all of a sudden. Not like physiologically, like I was sick and uh,
Mhm.
still am a little sick and like not running and stuff, but I started to just like neurochemically started to feel really
Came
good.
back,
Yeah,
yeah.
like really positive and happy.
But I did
Yeah.
staying awake that long. I mean, you are preventing your body from refilling the stores. So we finished, and also time totally different.
Oh,
Like suddenly, like 3 hour, I would look at my watch and be like 3 hours later. I don't know what happened on Sunday. Like it just,
they had this like countdown clock in front of the store,
Yeah.
and you could see, you know, like I started my watch basically right at when it hit like 24 hours to go. And I remember just looking at it and being like, wow, I have 13 more hours to run. I feel horrible. Like, I feel so bad. And then I would be like, I have 9 more hours to run. I'm like barely running anymore. I'm like moving so bad, you know?
Yeah. I'm interested to hear, Sean, you're talking about like these, we'll call them like happy chemicals that you're feeling like right now. There are times I don't honestly, I've just like done so many ultras, I just like don't really get any sort of high anymore from finishing anything, which is,
Yeah.
it's like the drug addict
bubble
thing.
tea.
You're never gonna get your first high again.
Yeah.
And like one of the things I'm so jealous about like first time 100 mile finishers is that like they get that still, and I'm jealous. It's a great feeling. But sometimes when I finish races, I do feel like kind of an intense connection with like the world around me, especially and the first time I ever felt that was after my first Moab 240, and I thought it was really weird because you spend all this time in nature, and it's a pretty solitary experience that forces you to like dig really deep within yourself. But
Yeah.
I surprisingly felt like very connected with the world around me. I'm wondering, like, is that how you feel right now? Like, how do you feel also, Kelsey, about like, things right? Like, uh, I guess, did you get like a high, I guess, from it?
And kind of,
Like more prolonged?
it's more of like a subtle, like, euphoria, I would say. Definitely very connected with the world. It feels like we have like a lot of positive momentum after this. Like things are looking up, I would say, just in general. I definitely get a little dopamine hit every time someone is like, "You ran 100 miles? That's crazy."
Like,
They're
yeah, that is.
like, "Yeah, it is kind of wild, I guess."
To be honest, it still has not quite sunk in for me, and I think part of it is because work has been very busy for me, so
Yeah.
not the best of timing, best
You
of time timing.
You know what I will
But
say? That's actually sorry to cut. Do you
yeah,
want to
no,
finish that thought?
yeah.
Okay. What I will say that I've been experiencing that's interesting is that I've been having a lot of dreams about like college, and then I've also been having a lot of feelings that I don't even know if I can like put a name to them, but there's some sort of like nostalgic feeling inside of me from when I was like, I don't know, like a late teen or like in my early 20s, and now I'm in like my early 30s. And
Mhm.
it's weird, and I don't know if that's from the ultra or whatever, but like it does feel like it brought forth some sort of like freshness or newness that I don't feel very often, but that I associate with that time in life. And like I think everybody can kind of relate to this, where it's like when you're that age, everything just feels so new and
Mhm.
uh, fresh, and I don't know, it just feels like you're experiencing things for the first
There's a
time in a way.
purity, there's a
Just a,
wholesomeness.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think maybe some of it, I did not run 100 miles obviously on Saturday, but I did feel like very refreshed after the Burrito League because it felt like for 3 weeks we had like a purpose. It was like to go there, it was to log miles, it was to like be with the community and like experience a lot of joy with people on something that just like a 0.35 mile loop,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
uh,
yeah.
for people.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it just was a very cool experience. And now that it's over, it's like there's a lot of great, I don't know, just endorphins from it that feel good.
Totally.
I think the when I finally had, you know, chemicals to feel things again, the first feeling was just overwhelming gratitude, genuinely. I know it sounds trite to keep saying like, "Oh, it's a community," but it really
Yeah.
was. Like old friends and new friends on that day were, of course I was stoked about the performance, but like I'm gonna remember the moments like friends of ours who have never seen us run and came out and they're like, "What the hell are you doing?" And like Sean had a friend who was on his skateboard and skateboarded beside him for like 10 miles, just keeping him company
Electric skateboard. It was awesome.
until the battery died, and then he had his
And then
normal skateboard.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
I had friends who I remember apologizing because I was like, "Guys, I can't use words anymore. I don't know what I'm saying. I've honestly run out of like I can't. I know I'm boring, but I just thank you for being here. Tell me a story." And they were so supportive, so patient, so positive, so encouraging when I was like, I must be like the worst company ever right now. And they were phenomenal. And even the competition, like I I think I owe Steph all of this because I would have been glad to be running 20-mile weeks, 20 days. 20 I had the brain not quite back.
20-mile days.
20-mile days for a whole week. That would have been huge for me. Like I try not to run every day. 10 miles a day would have been big. 20 miles a day is huge. 30 miles a day not something I would have ever conceived of. So she challenged me to challenge my assumptions about what I was capable of doing. And I would not have arrived at that day with even a chance at pushing myself to that point without her. And
Mhm.
yet, I consider everybody who was on the podium a friend. I really do. Like everybody was so supportive and positive, even though again we were competing with each other, obviously, but we were also competing beside each other. You know, we shared laps together, and I really mean it. Like that was really special. I loved that, and I hope that that's what we get to look back on in our next
Yeah.
year with Spree League, and
And we're
we
not
are
doing it again.
participating, and we can just appreciate.
Yeah.
I want to go and just be there for the vibes.
Yeah.
That's a great place to be.
Yeah. It is like hard to like the word community in our sport. It feels like it's thrown around a lot. And it's almost thrown around so much that when people say it, it just it feels almost insignificant. So,
Yeah.
but I can relate to what you said in that it feels like there's a lot of gratitude. Like I went for a run, my first trail run after Burrito League, and I was like, man, like I have so much gratitude for like being back on the trails, and just felt like a renewed sense of like just energy to be out there, but also like had a lot of gratitude for, it's a special thing to dedicate yourself to something seemingly maybe dumb, just a 0.35 mile loops for 3 weeks straight, but like I think it shows you that you can find meaning in a lot of different things in life and purpose in a lot of different ways, and especially in places that like you don't expect.
Yeah. Most
Um,
common question I got when people found out I was doing this was like, "Aren't you gonna get bored of the loop?"
Yep.
And no, like I never got bored of the loop somehow.
Well,
yeah, I mean, you
95.
see,
You're good.
oh,
Yeah.
go on.
95% of the miles were fun because there was always company and conversation to look forward to. Like I
Hmm.
probably maybe 10 miles alone, like total ever, right?
Yeah.
Like just listening to music or podcasts. It
And maybe
was
that's the lesson, right? Like you want your running to be more fun and enjoyable, like go do it with other people.
yeah, the
Dude, for
whole
real.
if you want to go far, sorry, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together.
Yeah, that's what Cole said.
Yeah. So
I feel like you also need a pacer to go fast.
Yeah, I agree. I slightly disagree with the statement, but I like the sentiment of it. If
yeah.
you want to go
Uh,
far, go with other people.
yeah. Oh man. I mean, it is cool though. You do see it is like a seemingly like boring segment running like 0.2 miles like from the bus stop around the roost, and then you're running through some parking lots back to the beginning, 0.35 in total. But I think to one of my good friends, shout out to Joel Gartenberg. I'm sure you're going to be listening to this one. Joel wanted to join today's episode, but he's already been on twice, so I told him that I got to give you guys the spotlight. But Joel won the Seattle Burrito League running 28 miles a day, and his Strava post was uh, he basically was saying how like he put it really well. I'm not going to do his words justice, but he was basically saying how like you see stores open, you see stores close, you see traffic go by. Sometimes your friends join you, sometimes you're running laps with like other people. I kind of like you, Kelsey. I came in with a few audiobooks I was going to listen to, and I ended up listening to none of them because of just like busy chatting the whole time. You see sunsets, you see sunrises, you eat food, you walk some laps, you run some laps. Like there's a lot that actually like happens out there, which was kind of cool. I think that like in this world that is so chaotic, just having like the same thing to do every day and being in this routine is like kind of a really fun, calming, meditative thing
Yeah.
to do. Yeah.
Almost like the world revolves around you when you're out there, you know? It's like if you just allow yourself to be in a place long enough,
Well,
you
Yeah.
get to like, experience a lot.
I have two thoughts on that note. One is as a person who it doesn't technically have a coach and has been like self-training for since college, right? Sometimes I do have some anxiety around deciding what I should do each day. Like,
Mhm.
is that enough? Is that enough? I don't like I'm trying to change this, but I don't
Mhm.
go into a week with a plan. I like wake up and look at my calendar, my schedule. I'm like, how much time do I have? How tired am I? How much can I squeeze out of myself? That's not really effective. And there was honestly a relief in like, there's no question. I'm just gonna drive to the roost and run in circles until I have to come back for meetings.
Mhm.
And then if I have time in the evening, I'm gonna go back again and just run in circles until 7 so we can come home and have dinner. So there was a relief in the simplicity. There was no questions of like what should we do? Is this the right no, at this point, this is the only thing we're doing.
It's like it's like when you go backpacking, you know, and
right.
your day schedule is pretty much set. Like you just do the things you got to do, and
Just do it. You don't
it
question.
it relieves you of a lot of the anxieties of like day-to-day life.
And the energy. I think there's a lot of energy spent making decisions, deciding to go exercise, deciding what kind of exercise, how long, was that enough? Should I do another? Should I double? Did I do strength today? Should I do more? With yeah. Uh and not having any of that decision fatigue was kind of nice.
Mhm.
I also think uh you know, the news is pretty depressing right now. The climate can be very discouraging and disempowering
Mhm.
in a way that does not make me the kind of person who can act and behave in a way that makes the world better. And I felt like this gave me something to do that, it's not that I disengage with the
Mhm.
news, but I didn't go into a disempowering cycle of just feeling powerless, feeling useless, feeling sad. Um, and I think that was helpful.
Yeah, I mean, there were some pretty crazy things going on in our country while we were out there for 3 weeks logging burrito loops. So
Yeah.
it is good to have like an outlet, a healthy outlet for your energy and frustrations, I think. I'm
And a
wondering,
privilege, honestly, just to be able to
Yeah, sometimes I'm like,
go
I
do
feel
that.
bad.
Yeah.
Don't
yeah,
realize, but this is helping me be a better person in a funny way.
yeah. I mean, I'm not a super political person. I like to think that, the whole motto, the whole mission of my podcast and my business is run farther, fuel smarter, develop character. I like to think that like I don't talk about politics on the show, but or
Smart.
like on social media much. No, no, you're good. I just meant along the lines of like the way I feel like I and maybe you guys feel similarly. I think a lot of runners would feel similarly when I say this, but I feel like one of the ways that like we can make the world a better place without having to address things head on. Like I just feel like if I put my opinions on social media, like it's not going to change anyone's mind. But if I can put out a podcast with people that teaches life lessons and like helps people develop character, and same thing through coaching. If I can help athletes develop character, then like at the end of the day, that is going to make a difference in society, and that will eventually penetrate into politics is my hope. That's how I look at it. I don't know if that's um, realistic, but that's how I like to view it.
I saw this Ram Dass quote earlier, maybe today or yesterday,
Hmm.
and it was along the lines of, I'll probably get to misquote it, but the only way for me to help you is for me to help me, and
Mm-hmm.
the only way for you to help me is for you to help you. So, like,
Hmm.
if we want to make change in the world, we all have to just work on ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, I could probably sit down for a beer with most people who like vote differently than me, and like we'd get along. Like,
That we
but
should all, aspire to be
I
able to get along and with our fellow humans.
Yeah. Things are
yeah,
complicated, and this is why it's not helpful to just make a statement.
right.
Because yeah, you're right. You're not having a
It's like,
conversation with a person. You're talking to a void that
mm-hmm.
you don't know who you're talking to. They can't respond. It's not a conversation. So of course it's not human. But generally, I think that we heal the world with love. So that's.
Yeah.
Man, should just end it on that note.
Bad Bunny.
I do have a
But
few.
yeah, it's
That's what Bad
we
Bunny
fix
said.
so we fix things by remembering that there are more things that connect us than disconnect us.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And I really believe that. So
I do have a few more questions for y'all.
ready.
I know we planned for another
Yeah.
like 15-ish minutes or so. But I do want to know like what did you guys learn from like running your first 100 milers?
You want to go?
Yeah, well, a lot of things. The sleep thing was difficult for me. If I were to go back, I would have slept a little bit to make better use of the time. I think I spent more time less effectively, and less time more effectively would have been better for me. I don't know how exactly that would apply in a race. I don't know, overnight running, but I would think differently. It was my first time intentionally foregoing sleep, so I
Mm-hmm.
think I underestimated how much that would affect me, and I have to figure out my feet because I had like severe edema and swelling and pain
Mm.
the last 2-3 hours. Like, it was really rough, and I've never had that happen before in a race, and I didn't know how to triage it except put my feet up, um, which would help for a couple laps. But um, I don't know. Maybe you go, and I'll think about my lessons.
Sure.
We should talk offline about that.
Yeah.
I think what I learned is that the human body is capable of going for a very long time feeling very bad. Not forever, though, because I was feeling horrible. So my initial goal was to do 100K, right? Because I'd ran 50 miles, so I was like, it'd be cool to run 100K.
Mhm.
And I hit 100K, and I was sitting in the back of the truck, and I saw Cole just sprinting by me, however many miles into his run he was. And I was like, I got to get back out there. So I got back out, and every time I had been sitting in the truck, my hamstrings had just been getting really tight, and it was hard to start again. I had to have to like warm back up again. And so I basically was just like, I'm just gonna keep going and not take any more breaks where I'm like sitting down. And shout out to Eric, sitting as the devil.
He did say that at like
Tell us
2 o'clock in the morning. It's like, I might take a break and sit. And he's like, no, sitting is the devil.
So I pushed on. I was like marching forward from like 62 to like I want to say like 92 or something. Um and not moving very well, but still moving, like doing a fair bit of running. And the problem I think was that in that time period I was so focused on just trying to keep moving that I stopped taking care of myself in terms of like eating enough. I was drinking enough fluid, but I wasn't putting enough food, and so I mean, who knows? This doesn't exist in a vacuum, kind of like what Kelsey was saying, where it's like we had so much abuse going into that 100-mile day that it's kind of hard to say what it would have felt like if we were fresh going in,
Mhm.
um, or how I would feel in a different 100-miler. I mean, it was basically flat, so doing like a mountainous 100-mile would be a lot different too. But yeah, like I moved through all that time, and I was in a lot of pain, but I'm not injured as far as I know. So you can actually, your body can take quite a bit of a beating. It wasn't until I got to like mile like 92 or like 95 or something that I started to feel like I was shutting down, and basically there was like no running at that point. I just had to walk.
But
Um,
you were 5 miles from 100 and in a fetal position in the back of a truck, basically saying like, I can't, I'm done. And I was like, let me feel you.
yeah,
No fever. What do you need? I can't go on. Yeah, you can.
I
What do you
was,
need? Advil?
I needed Advil.
Advil? Yeah, and then I gave my friends the medication. And I was like, I'll be back on the next lap. And he was already walking by the time I came back.
Yeah, I was like starting to get really cold. So this was like going into
Mhm.
basically the second night or whatever. And I was really cold, but I was started to also sweat a lot and get really hot, just like hot flashes. And
Mhm.
so, I mean,
Because you were
I,
sick.
I was sick. I think
He
I
was
got
sick.
sick. And so, yeah, I probably did have a fever or
So
something. And so like I was laying down and I was like, I just can't get back out there. It's too cold and too hot. And then I got some Advil in me. And I was like, well, I got 3 hours to walk 5 miles. I think I can do that.
your body thought you were done, and so it's like, okay, now that you did all that damage, we're gonna start repairing. But you had to tell it, we're not done yet. You can start in 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's when you can start.
Uh, I don't think I've ever truly experienced lows that low and then kept going. And you've done Moab, so you probably know there are probably even deeper lows you can reach.
Oh boy, just when you think that there's no more, you can't get any lower, you can.
Yeah, but that's incredible, isn't it? Right? Like the fact that you can come back from that, like if
Yeah.
you took somebody who was not, expecting to feel that bad or used to feeling bad and they felt like that, they'd be like, I'm gonna die. Like I feel so bad right now.
What's
Well,
funny is, oh, go ahead.
oh no, go, go.
I it feels like echoes of the same thing, but like with more meaning each time. Because I remember when I first ran like a marathon, and I was like, wow, this is the first time, maybe it was even a half marathon. I had my first experience of like going down in a race and then coming back up. And I
Mhm.
like that was a novel concept. I was like, well, once you start hurting, you're just gonna keep hurting, right? It's linear. It's totally not. It's
Mhm.
not. And I feel like the further you go, the more of an insane graph curve you experience, because it's not just up and down or down 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 up 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 down up down. It's all over. And there's different lines for like, where's your mind at? You might be good peaking mentally, but your body's trash, or vice versa. You might be like, I feel fine, but head is not in it. I feel low, like motivation isn't there. Maybe somebody got to your head, or some, I don't know, like maybe it's the time of day or the weather. There's things that might challenge you even when physically,
Yeah.
of course, often they'll be in parallel, because if you feel like crap, you might think like crap, but it's not always the same. They don't
Yeah.
correlate. And
I've got two anecdotes
yeah.
that gave me belief. The first is we met this dude Cody in Sedona last year, and he had run Cocodona, and he told me when he ran Cocodona that at like mile one, I don't know, it was pretty early. It seemed like 120 or something. I'm probably misquoting that, but he said his legs were like shot, like he was completely done, could barely move at all. And then he said like, and then fast forward, it's mile like 210 or something in the race, and he said he's running like sub 6 minute downhill miles or something. Like, and I'm like, if you can go from that to that, like anything's possible. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And the second anecdote is from this day actually, and it's Kelsey at the very end. The clock is ticking down, and there's like 5 minutes left, and everybody's trying to get their laps, and I'm like, I'm just walking laps, whatever.
I had been walking for like 3 hours.
Yeah,
It was a death
walking.
march because my feet felt like ballooned elephant feet.
Yeah.
Every step hurt, and I felt like I had to stop and like put my feet up for 30 seconds to get the will to walk another lap. And I remember looking at the clock and thinking, I have to think about like one step at a time. I'm not even running. And I have to think about one step at a time.
And
That was,
then
and then,
and then I see her just like sprinting past me for like the last 5 minutes. She gets like 3 laps in. I haven't looked at your pace, but I mean she's probably running like 7 minute pace or something at the end.
well, first of
For
all,
like 30 hours of effort. That's
it's
crazy.
different muscles. Like running quick muscles. I hadn't used any of those muscles.
I did not have those
I
muscles.
haven't used those muscles like at all during this competition. It's been like 2.5 weeks since I've used those muscles.
Yeah.
And like I think I was struggling to find the part of me that knew I had to endure, like that point where you're like, I just have to endure the pain. I didn't feel like I could do that for 3 hours. I looked at the clock and I was like, I can't endure for 3 hours.
Oh,
But
it's
I looked at the
brutal.
clock and I was
Yeah.
like, I can do it for 5 minutes. I
Yeah.
can endure for
Yep.
5 minutes. No matter how painful it is, I can do it for 5 minutes. One more lap, I can do it. And
Yeah.
that was
My version of that was just walking for 5 minutes. That was enduring.
That's funny. That reminds me of how I finished Leadville last year. I was like, my pacer was trying to get me to move faster, and I was going like 17-minute miles. It was like the fastest I could go. And I was like, I don't think I could do this for 12 more miles around the lake. And I was like, but can I do this for like another step? And it was like, yes. And if you can just like, do it in bite-sized chunks like that, eventually you do it.
Eventually you get there. Yeah. I mean,
Mhm.
and that is how we arrived at midnight.
Yeah. It really
Because
sucks when you have to do that though.
yeah, totally. Like, yeah, I know you're hoping you're gonna like feel pretty good at the end, but I don't know.
Yeah.
You put it all out there.
And I almost didn't finish that segment because I walked through the arches and I like
Oh yeah.
my brain wasn't working. I forgot to turn right. I was
The
like,
arch was before the actual finish of the segment.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's
then Sean
funny.
was like, "Don't forget to finish this segment."
So.
That's like when I almost went into the store to go to the bathroom one day, and I like forgot to finish
No,
my
I know you
segment.
gotta.
But Sean
Oh,
pulled
yeah,
me
yeah,
back
yeah.
on course, and I was like, "Oh, that's brain fart."
Yeah. It's like, what are you doing?
Gotcha.
So I'm wondering, what will you guys remember most about Burrito League?
Well, we will remember we ran our first 100 on concrete laps. There's too many things. What's the one thing?
I think I'm just gonna remember all of it, I hope I can at least. Like I hope it's all, packaged together in this like
I think
this
it's
beautiful like present of memories.
yeah. There's I I came up with this nicely packaged, great for a podcast response to one of the fellows who was reporting on Burrito League. He was saying like, "Why are you out here?" And I was like, "Well, it is. Are you ready? Alliteration, community, competition, curiosity." And that's probably what I'll remember. Like those are three extremely like that package might be like OP in terms of motivation. Like having community, people that inspire you, that you're grateful for, you feel connected to, right? That gives you a sense of purpose and meaning. Competition, I don't know, you probably have to have some competitive bone to do this stuff.
People have to push you.
Do you play games? you're competitive, right? Like it's part of play. It's part of play. So there's something very, I think, intrinsic about competition. It's not hostile even. Like it's just a drive, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then curiosity, which really, really presented itself in the last 48 hours. That was when I discovered this is my. At that point, it was not about what Steph was doing. I decided I'm not going to sleep, not necessarily because I'm going to. It came to me because I was competitive and I wanted to see what could be done. But in the end, executing it had to rely on curiosity. Otherwise, I would have quit because it was miserable, right? I had to do it for my own reasons. I did it to see what happens, explore. And that perspective meant that failure to win wasn't failure because the point was to learn something, right? I was curious. I wanted to see what happened. And that gave me permission to really explore and dig in without the pressure, I guess, of like expectations because the point was to see what happens. And I did. I saw.
Nice. Well, before I get to a few last funny questions for y'all, I want to commend you guys both for daring to do new and big things together. I thought it was super cool what you guys did, especially the last day. You guys in particular with your 100+ mile days, but also everyone who was out there setting new distance PRs. There were so many people, not only in Boulder, but like around the country who set new distance PRs for themselves. And that was super inspiring to see. I was on Strava clicking refresh and I was just like, I couldn't go to sleep that night because I was so stoked.
It was crazy seeing what people are doing.
And yeah, it was just amazing. But yeah, I want to commend you guys for showing up every single day, despite not knowing like if you were going to win or what the results were, and just like being dedicated to it. And also like your teamwork as a couple. Okay, I got some funny questions for you.
Let's do it.
You should know this one's coming. Is a burrito a sandwich?
No.
No.
Okay. Any
Yes.
elaboration?
I know you're expecting some deep philosophical dialogue.
Sandwich is 2 pieces.
Okay.
And everything else is a taco.
Wow.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
I haven't quite figured out where like donuts fall in that, but we don't have to get into that.
If Omar listens to this, he's going to be upset. He told me he listened to my last episode with Elisa Lieb, the dietitian I had on, and he said I was upset with the explanation because 3 pieces, like a hot dog, isn't a taco. So I thought that was funny.
But it is because it's a bread.
No, I think a hot dog, like the bun of a hot dog, is arguably 2 pieces. You know what I mean? Like it's barely being held together.
Connected.
It's a sandwich. It's a sandwich.
About this later.
Okay. If you guys had to fuel an entire ultra off of burritos or burrito ingredients, what would be your strategy?
I could eat potatoes forever.
Ooh,
I could eat honestly bean, cheese, and rice burritos forever. Like even Taco Bell bean, cheese, and rice burritos. I might, I'm throwing out a Taco Bell 50K this year, so we're about to find out how that works.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, I might need to do the ingredients singularly. I think I might get nauseous.
If I did beans, cheese, and rice and added sweet potato, I think that would be perfect. Maybe the beans, we'll see, but
I might just need a potato.
Just potatoes the whole time.
Potato.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. If all the elite ultra runners in our sport, think of like the main ones that you guys are fans of, if they came together to form a Burrito League team, kind of like the Avengers, but like the Burrito League version, what do you think, or who do you think would run the most segments if they all competed against each other? Think of it like the Western states of Burrito League.
Maybe I'm kind of split on this one between 2 people.
Okay.
My 2 people.
Okay, you think you have? Yeah.
Maybe. Okay. My 2 people are Killian. I think Killian recovers. Like after he did this like states of elevation thing, his recovery is ridiculous.
He's not a person.
Yeah, it seems like he can just exercise 18+ hours a day and not really suffer consequences. But Rachel Entrikin is my competitor there. She's got some grit and she has, big 200+ mile experience.
Yeah, I was gonna say, but the thing is, Killian actually likes mountains. So I don't know if he would demean himself and just do 0.2 mile segments. He'd be like, "This is stupid. Like, where's the elevation? Why?" Right? I don't think he would do. I don't think he would enjoy it.
Yeah,
I
if
think he
if
would.
it's on Mount Sinitas, I think
I
he's
don't
winning.
think it would be
true.
hard enough either. I think he'd be like, "No."
Yeah, it might be too easy. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it needs to be somebody who is badass and also willing to arbitrarily decide to push themselves because the terrain, this is also what makes it accessible, right? A segment isn't hard, but a million segments is hard.
Yeah.
So you have to decide to do a million segments.
Yeah.
So
Rachel Entrecan, for practicality, she's crushing. She did it this year too a bit.
yeah,
I think she was traveling, so she can hunker down. And
Yeah, she like tapered for her 100-miler at Coldwater by doing the Salida one, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Tara would be good too.
yeah.
That'd be a badass.
I think Tara could just dissociate and just keep going.
Jeff Garmire.
I think it would be
throwing him in the
Tara.
mix.
Yeah, I'd say
Jeff Garmire would be good.
Just go for it.
My pick was gonna be Harvey Lewis.
Yeah,
met
that's solid.
Oh yeah, I met him at Badwater, and I was like, "How are you here?" Like after running 300 miles of a backyard ultra, and he was like, "I just pretend." He looked at me and he was like, "I just pretended like it didn't happen." And I was like,
What about Andy
That's
Glaze?
nuts.
Andy Glaze would be good too.
I was like, you're crazy, man. I love you."
Yeah, respect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a mental game. I played Pokemon Go for a lot of those bikes.
Yeah, I would
True.
even go for that.
I love that. Okay, this is a question that after this question, I want you guys to give folks, like social media handles. Where can people follow you? But my actual last question is, what is a journey that you? Because this is the Journey Running Podcast. What is a journey you've been on in your life? Whether that's a journey run, a race, or a life event that's important to you, and what did that journey teach you?
Maybe you're smiling like you're gonna pick the same one.
What, you can talk about getting married?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say the best journey of my life has been this person right next to me. Because that's what it is. Like a relationship is not you don't achieve it, you don't acquire it, you don't just have it.
There's no end point.
You work for it every day, and that is what makes it wonderful. And that's why he came out every day and did stupid Burrito League, even though his league was not nearly as cutthroat. He'd be like, "Can we go home yet? Sorry, I have like 7 more to go. Can you like do an errand or something and come back?"
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a journey, and I am a way better person for it. So that's
Same.
my journey. You can't steal my answer.
Yeah, I said it for our
Sup,
dog.
Chowder?
Yeah.
That's funny. My cat is named Zepp. She is sleeping. She's named after Led
Aw.
Zeppelin. Yeah, that's what she does most of her day anyway. Okay, before we finish up though, where can I want to give you guys the floor to let people know, like, where can they follow you guys on social media if they wish to keep following along with your ultra running adventures. What are your guys' goals for 2026? And yeah, how can people tune in?
Goals for 2026 were 100K, so then we'll have to reconvene on that one. And also, I think Sean generally eschews social media, but I am on Instagram and Strava as Kelsey Lack on Instagram and Kelsey Lakowske Hollister.
What about your art account?
Yeah. I also draw. If you want to see some weird creatures, you can find me on Instagram as well as Zilowar, Zilowar. Don't ask. I made it up when I was 13. So
I'm usually not on Instagram, but I have been lately. And my Instagram handle is Sean the Sean. And you can also find me on Strava at Sean Hollister.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on today. It was a ton of fun running laps with you for the last few weeks. And yeah, I'm grateful that you guys took the time to come here and share your Burrito League experience with everyone. And I'm sure that there were a lot of talking points in this conversation that are going to hit home with people who are listening. So thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you. Yeah.
Appreciate you. Honestly, you were
Thanks for
also
having
a
us.
huge highlight of the whole thing. So
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, we'll see you out on the trails.
yeah.
Yes, this time we're all going to go for a run and it's going to be on the trails.
Yeah, let's do a green lap soon.
Sure.
Oh, you know, I'm always down for a green lap.
We'll
Perfect.
see you there.
Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for taking the time to listen to today's episode. I hope you were able to come away with valuable information that can help you run farther, fuel smarter, and develop character through trail and ultra running. If you enjoyed today's episode, please remember to like, rate, and subscribe to the show, as well as leaving a review. I would really appreciate it. Also, if you or anyone you know is looking for a registered dietitian or a coach to help you crush your running goals in 2026, you can reach out to me directly at journeyruncoaching.com or at my email, which is journeyrunningllc@gmail.com. Thank you so much again for taking your valuable time to listen to the show, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.